Now, one of the biggest unspoken beauty issues affecting Black women has been sitting in plain sight this whole time: hyperpigmentation, textured skin, uneven tone.
Oh, your skin looks a hot mess.
People think that you're like dirty. Everyone's like, oh, just like rub cocoa butter on it. But like, I don't think that that always works.
It took me about 3 years to accept my skin.
Like, you get acne and you're a brown person or a Black woman, you're gonna get some hyperpigmentation in some shape or form.
Hyperpigmentation is when patches of your skin become darker than the surrounding skin due to excess melanin.
There are some beauty conversations that happen loudly. They get brand deals, panel discussions, celebrity testimonials, and entire marketing campaigns built around them. Then there are the conversations that stay buried, pushed to the side, softened, whispered, and avoided. Now, one of the biggest unspoken beauty issues affecting Black women has been sitting in plain sight this whole time: hyperpigmentation, textured skin, uneven tone. The dark marks left behind after breakouts, inflammation, irritation, hormonal shifts, or aggressive treatments that were never really made with us in mind. We see it, we live with it. We spend money trying to fix it. We cover it, we filter it, we quietly fight with it in our mirrors. But somehow, we still do not talk about the honesty, the urgency, the visibility that it deserves. And that silence says a lot. Because when something affects so many Black women yet remains absent from major beauty conversations and absent from product education, absent from campaigns, absent from the language of perfect skin, well, then we have to ask the deeper question here. Why is this still being treated like a private shame instead of a real, visible, community-wide beauty concern?
Hi, I'm Marissa Papillon.
Hi, my name is Kia Bryant.
I'm Channing.
Hi, my name is Amber and I have hyperpigmentation.
My hyperpigmentation is on my elbows. I definitely have some from like past breakouts in my jawline, and I have a scar like on my leg.
My hyperpigmentation is on my back and my shoulders.
Face, my chest, my shoulders, and my back. I also have it on my hips.
On my face, on my back, and on my butt. I had like years of acne, like really bad acne. And it was hormonal, so it was like concentrated in the lower part of my face along my jawline.
Just kept coming. No matter what I did.
I would just get hives and they would itch and I would scratch them.
I played lots of like sports as a kid. My knees are always skinned up, always band-aids, always I was a scab picker. There was a time in my life where I just like never left my apartment without something on my skin.
Why are so many women carrying this frustration in silence while mainstream beauty continues to market glow in a way that often excludes the actual skin realities of darker complexions? Why are we still being sold fantasy before we are offered understanding? That is the heart of this conversation. Because for so many Black women, the issue was never just having a pimple. It was what came after it. It was the mark that stayed for weeks, months, sometimes longer. It was the discoloration that changed how the whole face looked. It was trying one product after another, only to realize that what worked for somebody else's skin only made yours worse. It was being told your skin was fine when you knew it was inflamed, reactive, and crying out for something gentler, more informed, more specific. It was sitting through beauty content where the word textured was treated like a failure, where flawless became the standard, and anything outside of airbrushed smoothness was framed as something to erase as quickly as possible. And that kind of messaging does damage, because when the beauty industry refuses to center the way hyperpigmentation behaves in melanated skin, well, it then creates that silence that doesn't just live in products. It lives in confidence. It lives in self-perception. It lives in the choices women make every single day about whether to go barefaced, whether to wear foundation, whether to try another acid, another serum, another peel, or another promise. It lives in the emotional exhaustion of always trying to correct something while rarely seeing your experience reflected with care and accuracy. Now, for Black women, hyperpigmentation is rarely just cosmetic. That is the part of what makes this conversation so overdue. It can feel deeply personal because it changes the way the skin reads as healthy, rested, polished, even when you are doing everything right.
I used to cover my hyperpigmentation on my face like every day, caked face every single day, even sleepovers I would have makeup on to sleep.
I remember calling home crying, I don't know, I was in college, I don't know what to do because I just couldn't leave my apartment because I had these really bad scars all over my face.
I would wear long sleeve in the summer, long sleeve shirts, long sleeve pants. I would go to the beach fully clothed.
I would tell my mom, I feel insecure about my skin, and she did her best to try to help me. She would take me to the dermatologist all the time, but like I said, a lot of that stuff didn't work for my skin. I would buy loofahs because I read that exfoliating it could, help to even the skin tone out. That didn't work. I tried witch hazel, I tried apple cider vinegar, I tried coconut oil, I tried all of these things, okay? All of these things. But none of that worked for me.
It can make a person feel as though their skin is betraying them, even when the truth is that their skin is responding exactly the way melanated skin often does after trauma, inflammation, or sensitivity. But instead of being educated on that reality early, many women are left to figure it out through trial and error, wasted money, and discouragement. And that discouragement is powerful because it teaches silence. It teaches women to think that they are the only one dealing with it. It teaches them to hide behind makeup without ever talking about the emotional labor behind that choice. It teaches them to believe that textured skin is somehow abnormal, when in reality, skin has texture. Real skin has pores. Real skin has marks. Real skin reacts. Real skin heals unevenly sometimes. But in a beauty culture obsessed with glass skin and blurring filters and impossible standards, Black women are often left navigating realities that are made even more complicated by undertone, melanin response, and the lack of culturally competent beauty education. And then there is the deeper layer, the one that people do not always want to say out loud. Some of this silence exists because Black women have been long expected to present strength, polish, composure, resilience, no matter what, to look put together, to look radiant, to look unbothered, to make struggle look beautiful. Even when the skin issues are affecting confidence, many women have been conditioned to manage it privately rather than to discuss that openly. Now, they may swap products with friends. They may ask quiet questions in comment sections. They may even search late at night for solutions. But open, exposed, and sustained dialogue, that still feels rare. And when silence is paired with shame, well, guess what? Frustration grows in the dark. At the same time, mainstream beauty has not exactly rushed to fill in the gap with integrity. Too often, products marketed for dark spots and uneven tone are promoted without nuance, without enough warning, without enough education, without enough acknowledgement. And the darker skin can respond differently to irritation. Too often, the imagery is very, very vague. The language is broad, and the results shown do not fully represent the women most impacted. Black women are expected to decode the fine print on their own, to become homegrown chemists in their own bedrooms, mixing and hoping with caution every time they try something new.
The founder of Skin Wellness Dermatology in Birmingham, Alabama. There he is, Dr. Corey Hartman. Dr. Hartman, I want to mention this headline here from the New York Times recently that said dermatology has a problem with skin color, and it gets into this idea of a lot of dermatologists don't exactly know how to treat people of color for their skin because they're all trained to treat a treat white skin. Is that the case?
It's particularly important since Black dermatologists make up only 3% of dermatologists in the country, and Latino dermatologists only 5%, despite the fact that we represent 13 and 18% of the population, respectively.
Dr. Hartman, what is the #1 skin problem you see, and what can be done about it?
Absolutely. So hyperpigmentation is the #1 skincare concern for people of color. It's a leading driver of visits to the dermatologist. It's also a common pathway for many different conditions. So discoloration can come in the form of sunspots, post-inflammatory discoloration, and lighter spots from chronic UV exposure.
And that is where this topic becomes bigger than skin, because once you start pulling this issue apart, you begin to see how much of the beauty industry still treats Black women as an afterthought unless our buying power is being discussed. We are visible when trends need fuel. We are visible when brands want cultural relevance. We are visible when shades need to look inclusive on launch day. But when it comes to the long-term realities of how our skin heals scars and reacts, darkens, or retains inflammation, suddenly the conversation gets very quiet. Suddenly, nuance disappears. Suddenly, the burden shifts back onto us. And yet, this silence has not stopped Black women from searching for answers. It has not stopped us from building our own conversations, even if they often have been fragmented. It has not stopped women from sharing routines, cautionary tales, makeup techniques, ingredient discoveries, dermatologist advice, and lived experience. The hunger for this conversation is already here. The frustration is already here. The need is already here. What has been missing is the spotlight, the consistency, and the honesty, because textured skin should not be treated like a taboo. Hyperpigmentation should not be treated like a niche concern when so many Black women deal with it on a regular basis.
Even ethnic skin needs to stay out of the sun and is prone to premature aging and skin cancer. It's not true that Black don't crack. Acne is a common condition that leads to hyperpigmentation, and then the melanin is left behind. So you need to treat the acne, which is driving the hyperpigmentation. Psychologically, I see this impacting patients even more than the acne does. When it comes to treatment, chemical peels are an excellent way to treat both problems when used in the right hands, but you have to be sure that you're also addressing the inflammation to get to the root of any skin condition that can leave behind dark spots. And an antioxidant is a great place to start. So look for product ingredients that include niacinamide or hydroxy acids like glycolic or salicylic acid. I like SkinCeuticals Retexturing Activator and Neutrogena's Pore Refining Exfoliating Cleanser, which can be found at any local drugstore.
Black women should not have to fight to be seen inside of a beauty conversation that has profited so much from our presence, from our style, from our influence, and from our spending. That is why this topic matters. It matters because silence protects neglect. It matters when women do not see their skin concerns reflected. They may internalize the idea that their beauty is somehow more difficult, more complicated, less marketable, or less worthy of care. It matters because too many women are still being introduced to solutions through guesswork instead of guidance. And it matters because naming something out loud is often the first step in removing the shame around it. This is not about encouraging insecurity. It's about confronting what has already been there, lingering beneath the surface, ignored for far too long. It is about saying that Black women deserve more than coverage. We deserve clarity. We deserve education. We deserve safer and smarter conversations about ingredients, treatments, barriers, breakouts, healing, and long-term skincare health. We deserve to see textured skin presented without embarrassment. We deserve to hear hyperpigmentation discussed without stigma. And we also deserve a beauty culture that can finally tell the truth about whose skin concerns have been centered and whose have been quietly sidelined. Because once we begin to say these things openly, the silence loses its power. And maybe That is what makes this conversation so necessary right now. Not just because hyperpigmentation and textured skin exists, but because so many Black women have been carrying this beauty burden in isolation, thinking that they had to solve it alone, cover it alone, research it alone, and feel insecure about it alone. That is the real issue, not just the marks, not just the texture, but the isolation wrapped around it, the invisibility wrapped around it, the unspoken pressure wrapped around it. So maybe the better question is no longer why is this happening? Maybe the better question is why have we accepted the silence for so long? Because once Black women began speaking plainly about the beauty concerns that uniquely affect us, the industry will then have to listen differently. The marketing will have to change. The education will have to deepen. The representation will have to become more honest. And the image of what healthy, beautiful skin looks like will finally have room to be more real, more textured, more nuanced, and more inclusive of us. That is the shift. That is the challenge. And that is the conversation that can no longer stay buried. So the silence ends here. Because this is not a small issue, it is not vanity, it is not imaginary, it is not rare, it is real. It's visible and it deserves more than a whisper. Black women have every right to bring this topic into the light, to ask harder questions, to reject beauty standards that leave us out, and demand better from an industry that has been far too long, too comfortable, benefiting from our presence while ignoring our specific needs. Maybe once we finally say it out loud, more women will realize they were never alone in this at all. No, this is not just about dark spots. This is not just about texture. This is not just about what is sitting on the surface of the skin. This is about what has been pushed beneath the surface for far too long. The silence, the avoidance, the lack of urgency. The way Black women's specific beauty concerns can be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Because when something affects this many of us and still does not get the honest spotlight it deserves, that is no accident. That is a pattern, and patterns need to be challenged. The silence around this topic has lasted long enough. Black women deserve more than quiet frustration and improvised solutions. We deserve a language for what we are experiencing. We deserve products and conversations that meet us where we are. We deserve to see our skin in all of its complexity, handled with care instead of convenience. And most of all, we deserve to stop feeling like this struggle has to be carried alone. Once we start talking about it openly, really talking about it, the silence loses its power, and that is when the real beauty conversation finally begins.
Tried a chemical peel. I tried acid peels. I tried basically everything, and nothing was really working for my skin. So it was either accept it or keep hiding, and I wasn't willing to keep hiding. So I basically just forced myself to start loving my skin, and it was the best decision I made.
And then the more I thought about it, I was like, no one really cares that much. Like, no one is ever looking at you that hard.
Over time, I started kind of looking at the hyperpigmentation on my shoulders and on my back as just kind of like battle scars. It kind of adds to the character of my being.
People are so afraid to just like say that they don't like things like about themselves. They're like, no, like embrace it, like be happy with who you are. And I'm all about that. But I do think that we do have the ability to change things about ourselves that we don't like. It could have been so easy for me to say like, oh, this is like something that I have. Like, let the hair grow, let the acne come, let, the acne burst, let the scars form. But I wasn't okay with that. And like that's okay too.
So I would just say, look in the mirror, compliment yourself. And just be around people with good energy. Don't let the doubters or just don't let the negative energy come into your space. Just be positive.